The Giannis trade saga is in full effect. We all saw this coming sooner or later, and Giannis is already giving indirect shots of wanting the trade, calling out his teammates, saying that players aren't playing hard enough, they're not putting in effort, guys are selfish. And, we've heard reports over the years about Giannis wanting to potentially be moved, or all he wants to do is really win. And, he's pretty much stated that for a while now. And really, ever since the Milwaukee Bucks have won the NBA championship, things were slowly on the decline. First off, we all know the move that really changed everything for this Bucks team, that really was their decline to me personally, was when they traded for Damian Lillard. Yes, at the time, Damian Lillard was a fantastic player still, a guy in the midst of his prime. Guy, offensively speaking, was a way better player than a guy like Drew Holiday, who they currently still had in their team then. And this was proving to Giannis that the Bucks were 100% committed to wanting to still win and compete, because we all know during this time as well that Giannis was kind of, making it clear that the Bucks don't build a competing roster, that he would want to be moved. And that kind of foreshadowed, we all know the events that eventually transpired, but the reality is having Damian Lillard on this team drastically changed this team. Offensively speaking, they were great, but the fit still wasn't great, and defensively, that's where they struggled with the most on this team, because Drew Holiday is a guy that can guard multiple positions, who's one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball, especially during that time still, and really was one of the main reasons why the Bucks won their NBA championship in the first place. He made some key plays in that Suns series to help them win their NBA championship, Giannis' only NBA championship. So when you trade a guy like that away for a guy like Damian Lillard, who, yes, at the time was one of the best point guards in the league, but the fit was just not there. And what made it worse is that Damian Lillard, he tore his Achilles, and we all knew then that the Bucks had put themselves in a very horrible predicament with their roster, having really little to no draft picks. And what else could you really do at the time? Coming into that next season, the Bucks, the best they can really even do was get a guy like Miles Turner in the offseason. They couldn't make any big moves, big splashes, and it showed this season why they aren't a good team. And of course, before the season even started, they released Damian Lillard, so that put them in a very tough salary situation, because they're still having to pay him the contract that he has gotten. So it really is a sticky situation for the Bucks. And this year, they just haven't really performed well. And Giannis has really now officially decided to move on from the team that helped him come into the league, the team that developed him, the team that saw a lot of potential in him in the first place. And we are now looking at a guy who's now in his 30s, but he's still one of the best players in the entire world. But trading a guy like Giannis isn't so easy, because trading a guy like Giannis, you are changing pretty much the entire trajectory of the league. Because where this guy ends up going, it can really be a hit or miss for this next NBA team. All right, I'm going to keep this really simple and get the most obvious one out of the way. The Golden State Warriors are the team that is the most realistic, possibly, potentially move happening, especially before the trade deadline comes up here in a few days. Because we all know that the Warriors, they would have the salary match for Jimmy Butler's contract. Boom, you have that checked off the list. And the Bucks, what do they want? They want future assets. They want unprotected picks. And looking at where the Warriors are going to be within those next few years, especially after Curry retires, if they still have Giannis or not on the team, some of those unprotected picks in the future, I believe one goes to the 2032, that can be a really, really attractive pick down the line for them. And then you can get someone potential like Jonathan Kuminga or Brandon Brzezinski involved in the deal. And that could potentially be a trade scenario that works and actually, gives the Warriors what they want, a win-now situation. They can maximize the time they have with Curry and to help them win now But my only issue with that, Giannis is about to be 32 years old as well. Curry gonna be 38, I believe, in March. He's getting up there in age, and he's got maybe what about another year or two done. I think really after the year 2027, 28, pretty much all those guys on the roster are gonna be off the books for the Warriors. And then, what if you don't win? What if you did all that and you don't compete? And the thing is, you trade away most of your assets away, you have none, and then you're stuck potentially with Giannis on that team. What would happen then? That's kind of really my question about the Warriors and what they plan on doing if they do decide to trade for a guy like Giannis. I think while Curry's still good, yeah, you want to win now, but it would definitely be a desperate move at the same time, because then you're going to give away all your assets to make this happen. And then you kind of have no choice then but to be a team that is considered a championship contender. Now, another team to me that kind of makes sense is the New York Knicks, but that is going to be, a lot of salary situations and everything going on. Karl-Anthony Towns will obviously be the main focal point of this trade, but is he a younger asset to have on this team? No, he'll be definitely a veteran presence on that Milwaukee Bucks team if he was traded there. Those guys have so many guys now under, max contracts, because Jalen Brunson signed that deal that took a pay cut to help keep everybody on their team. And the reality is Giannis is going to be able to sign a max extension, or, the team he does end up getting traded to, he's got to sign an extension there. And, that could really be a dilemma potentially. So I think salary cap would be a really main issue for the Knicks. And the reality is their roster will be gutted. And the same is kind of with the Minnesota Timberwolves. They go out and trade for him. You're trading with all pretty much those young guys. And I think that's a trade that would definitely the Bucks will be attracted to, because the Timberwolves, while they don't really have any draft picks, they really give like that. They have those young talented players like Jaden McDaniels. You have Naz Reid, who's still really great young. You have Dante DiVincenzo. You have a lot of great core pieces that they have, but then that kind of takes away from the Timberwolves and their identity as, a very versatile, dominant team that takes that away, trading for a guy like Giannis. Him and Anthony Edwards, that combination would definitely be fun to watch. But I think really what makes the most sense for Milwaukee in this situation, if you want to really maximize the value and return, you wait till the offseason to get a deal done, because then maximize the return with draft picks, and you'll be able to get some potentially better trade packages, especially with teams that may need that one more piece. That could really be a big reason to go out and then trade Giannis, because you're going to be able to get way more in return, especially when you look at the deadline. The deadline, the only team I can feel like that'll probably be more desperate, more aggressive, the most aggressive probably to make a move is a team like the Warriors or maybe the Knicks. But especially the Warriors, since Jimmy Butler's out for the remaining of the season, they are definitely wanting to compete now and try to be in a playoff team. And going out and getting Giannis will be something that they definitely want to pursue hard. But it seems like the Knicks, though, they'll have more draft picks, first-round picks available to trade during the offseason than they would right now. I'd say the only concern with Giannis, if you're the Milwaukee Bucks, of course, if he comes back, he's been dealing with that calf strain injury now for a while. And, those can turn into serious injuries down the line. So do you potentially shut him down for the remaining of the season, knowing he doesn't really want to play there anymore? Or, do you still let him play? It's really up to him. But the most realistic option is shutting him down. And this also protects the draft capital as well for the Milwaukee Bucks, as they currently stand as one of the worst teams right now in the Eastern Conference. But I think for Giannis, I think he should still remain in the East, because the East gives him a more competitive advantage, and it's kind of wider open in the East. So if he gets traded to a Eastern Conference team, it gives you a way better opportunity to make it to the NBA Finals. And that is really going to be, I feel like, a major piece potentially, and getting a guy like Giannis for one of these Eastern Conference teams, because then that you'll have a really great chance at really competing and taking it to that next level. But we will see, man, what really happens with this Giannis trade saga. Who knows? He may get traded before the deadline. we'll see what happens. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.